We're on. I'm going to step out real quick and see if it's broadcasting in there. Hold on just a sec.
Okay.
Okay, we're good. Seems to be working okay, so. So, London, do you know my brother Rob?
Yeah. I know Rob.
Yeah. Football coach, PE teacher, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Don, you're up in Gillette, right?
I am, but I grew up in Rock Springs.
Oh, did you really?
Yep.
Oh, cool. Cool. How's the weather up there in Gillette? You getting some big hail from what I saw.
Not at my house, but it's been rainy every single day. I'm thinking I live in Seattle instead of Gillette.
Oh, really? Oh, we're having some more technical difficulties here, sorry. Hold on just a second. Oh, I think there we go.
You want me to hang it here and click on, or will it pop up like whoever's talking? Okay, so you're just going to do it from in there? We kind of need to do a volume check.
Okay, I think we're good. You guys hear okay? Okay. You can see kind of where we're at there.
Yep.
Hanging out in our cafeteria. Yeah. There's the crew.
Where'd my stuff go?
Okay, I think everything's good. We're going to get rolling. Can you hear me, Sweetwater 1? Give me a big thumbs up, crowd, if you can hear me. Awesome, awesome. So welcome to, we're going to kick this morning off with a little Google Hangout on air. And I've got two teachers with us. I've got London. He is a teacher from Thermopolis. He's going to talk to us a little bit. And Dawn, who lives in Gillette, but was born and raised in Rock Springs. So some of you may know her, I don't know. So I will give each of them a chance to speak here in just a minute. But what we want to do this morning is, our theme for this Hangout is Why Tech? We'll get London and Dawn to talk to us a little bit about the benefits of using technology in the classroom with kids and what it does for them. So London, we'll go ahead and get you kicked off.
Okay.
Jump right in.
Yeah, just some background for you. I do teach, as was said, in Thermopolis. I teach at the high school, but I'm also the director of technology for our district. I teach science at the high school. And I guess answering the question of why tech, for me, when I started as a teacher, for me it comes down to primarily the first reason is access for my students. Access to my content and access to information and access to assignments and things like that. I remember as a first-year teacher, I'm sure we've all experienced it, but you know, I felt inefficient in my use of all of the paper that I had and all of the paper that I moved around and all the paper that I carried home, and so me, one of the major reasons I use technology is to be more efficient for myself and more efficient for my students, and give them that access to the learning at all times. So I teach a paperless classroom primarily, or a digital classroom, and so I use Google Classroom. I don't know if you guys are a Google Apps for Education district or not, but I use the Google Suite, and just to provide my students the ability anywhere in the world from any device to be able to access the information and the content of my class. I also do a flipped classroom, and that's again along that line of giving students access to the content anywhere at any time. And as for me as a teacher, that helps me be much more efficient with my time. And having a split role of a tech director and a teacher, there's a lot of that time that's taken up. And so that technology again allows me access to my students and their work from any computer. So for me, that's a big reason, is the access that students have. They have smartphones, they have mobile devices, and teaching them and helping them to learn how to access the content and access their learning 24/7 if they wanted to is a big reason why, a big motivator for technology in my classroom.
London, if you can speak to us just really quickly, what kind of experiences have you had with students accessing material after hours at like at 10 o'clock at night or whatever? What kind of experience have you had with that?
That comes with a little bit of training for your students to get them used to having that access. But I certainly have situations, if, again, we're a Google Apps for Education district, so having students access my YouTube channel and watch videos at any time. That can be the night before a review. That can be any time that they need to, any time that they want to. And so also them being able to if according to my decision, access me at, they can send me an email, they can send me a Google chat, in the evening, before school, after school, I can respond to that, are all things that are great. And there have been some, unintended consequences of that. And I have an example of a student who's not even in my class, who subscribes to my YouTube channel, who regularly will come and ask me questions about the stuff I'm teaching in a class that he's not even a participant in, because he's watching those videos somewhere else. And so that's an example for me of a student that has that access and is using it, even though it's not attached to any class that he's a participant in it whatsoever. And so that's a pretty prime example of me that it gives students the control of deciding when and where they learn and how they learn that, and really giving them that access anytime that they want it.
Thank you, thank you. Don, I'm going to jump to you now. A chance for you to kind of introduce yourself and speak a little bit about YTech in your realm.
Good morning. I'm Dawn, and I just switched jobs. I was a elementary tech facilitator, which meant that I helped the teachers integrate technology into their classroom. So we'd have a meeting, and they'd talk about what they were teaching, and then I'd try to do tech lessons that went along with it. Instead of tech being a separate subject, it was integrating. And now I'm switching. I'm going to go up to the junior high and teach business. I just, instead of YTech, my question is, I can't imagine no tech. We are also a Google Apps for Education district. I understand you guys are trying to get that.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it's wonderful. The students love it. The staff loves it. It's a great way to communicate. And one of the things that I have created is a blog so that I can share the students' work with them and with their parents. They can see what their students have been doing anytime. With the Google Apps, students can collaborate with each other or with the teachers. And my daughter is a high school student, and she gets really frustrated in classes that don't use technology. You know, there are some teachers who have all the assignments online so that if you're absent or you just didn't quite understand something, you can go back and look at it at home. So.
Okay. Can you give us an example, Dawn, of maybe a project or an assignment or something that you've done with a teacher that they took a traditional pencil paper and how they integrated technology into that?
Yeah, let me see if I can do a share screen.
Sure.
Let's see, I'm going to go to here. I don't know if I'm doing this right. Okay, so can you see this, do you know?
Yes.
Okay, so then let me go up to, like, for example, 6th grade was doing projects on World War II. So in tech, they made these timelines where they had to put in dates and then pictures. Let me come down a little bit. They also were working on Google Drawings to make planet reports. If I can get it to the right place. There we go. It's taking forever to load. So in 2nd grade, they were doing research on animals or other things, so in tech, they came in and typed what they'd already written in class and added pictures. Yeah, oh, it's finally going to maybe load. There we go. So here, students use Google Drawings, brought in a picture of a planet, wrote about their planet. Let me go up to 2nd grade. Okay, 2nd graders, I gave them a Google form that did a survey of their favorite pet, and then they graphed that. Let me see if I can get it down. They did, I'm going to find there. They did timelines too, just of their lives. I was trying to find. They also did planets. They did a really cool one on the coral reef. Let me see if I can find that. Come on. Okay, so each student was assigned a creature from the coral reef. They made a headline, wrote a sentence or two about them, and added a picture from the internet. So, like I said, just whatever the teacher said they were working on, then we tried to extend that in the classroom. Is that good?
Yeah, that's a great example.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. London, I'm going to bring you back in here. What kind of products have you or have your students created that go beyond the traditional, like poster board or whatever, that goes beyond the classroom, that they posted on YouTube or social media? Do you have some examples of products?
Yeah, I think video is a really accessible way to push your product somewhere else. So I also teach in a project-based classroom, and so a lot of our a key component of our project-based instruction is that we are curating projects, or we're providing some outside resource. Outside person is accessing and providing feedback on that. And so a lot of what we do is, how do we make that accessible to people outside? And digital tools make that, very easy. Whether that means that we're, a presentation or a brochure or something is shared publicly, or shared to parents or those things, or whether students make a video and share that, on YouTube. Those are all, some where you're taking a fairly traditional classroom method of evaluation, which could be like a presentation, and adding some external commenting, external review of that really helps students to raise the rigor, so that because they know that they're going to be publishing that on YouTube, they know they're going to be inviting community members to come and see that. All of those things help to raise that rigor, and technology is a great way to make that more accessible to to students and to people outside, other evaluators, or other people that can comment on that. Another thing that we do externally is in that project-based setting, we work a lot with external groups. For example, we have a project with a park ranger in Yellowstone who we communicate with using a Google Hangout. Or we communicate with, we have a soils, someone who works for the Wyoming Extension Office that does soils in Worland, Wyoming, and so we can communicate digitally with them. So those people might be included as evaluators on that student project, and we're taking a very traditional thing, but we're expanding the student's environment or expanding their connections very easily through technology. So those are some ways that we've helping to connect students to other places and to expand and raise their rigor, is by including those other people through that process of technology.
Thank you. One question I want to explore here a little bit because London, you're at the high school, Don, you've spent some time with elementary, is the idea that with secondary kids, London, has it been your experience that they come in with already having YouTube accounts? They already know most of these tools. You're just taking their knowledge and turning it into more of an academic thing. And then Don, maybe if you'll touch on like how do you approach it with elementary kids who may not have email accounts, who may not have the knowledge that some of these high school kids have as they get older. So Don, I'll start with you with the elementary aspect, please. Don, you're on mute there. There we
go. I work at a low socioeconomic school, so I was very surprised at how many students, even at the elementary level, had smartphones, iPads, technology. So they come with the tools, but they don't necessarily know how to use it educationally. A lot of it, they know how to play games, but that's about it. So you're right, we don't grant email access at school to them. So some of the things in Google Classroom, they're not able to do, but they're able to do a lot. And we can still share things through Google Classroom and through the apps. They just can't use the email. We do teach a lot of digital citizenship, trying to get them to learn how to use things appropriately and safely. One of the things I'm a little frustrated with is with social media, we kind of have such a reserved attitude about it. You know, we don't want to let them use it, and I think they're using it already at home, and I wish that we could use it more at school so that we could teach them how to use it safely. Does that answer your question?
I think it does. It, you know, because so much of what we've heard in our district is that, well, we have kids whose parents don't allow them to have email addresses, or whose parents won't allow them access to, you know, Facebook and Twitter and all these different things. But I like your point, Don, about teaching the digital citizenship. That yes, you can use this for good things, you can use it for bad things, and teaching them how to do it properly. So, thank you. London, if you'll jump in and talk about kind of the same topic with high school kids and what you do there.
Okay. I mean, we're similar on a same vein. Just to talk district-wide, we typically grant students a Google Apps account starting about in the 3rd grade level. That is restricted in a similar way that was already spoken to, that, you know, in Google Apps you can restrict whether they have access to email, whether they can send email internally or externally, or all of those things. So about 7th grade, kind of about where you hit that 13-year-old range, which is what Google requires and lots of services require, we start to really open up students' access. So, for example, at the high school, students have all email options. They have all full access to YouTube. They can have a YouTube account. They can have a Google Plus account, and they can connect with people inside and outside of our district domain. Whereas, like at the middle school, they've got access to all of those tools, but it's restricted inside, you know, with other school individuals. And so, you know, with that, speaking of, do my students come with the innate knowledge of, you know, how to access and use that technology? I'd say what they come with is they have a higher level of comfort with technology. Certainly over the last few years, because of the access that they have in lower grade levels, I teach freshmen primarily. You know, in 7th and 8th grade, they get a lot of access to that, and so they come with some more skills, but there still is some teaching that goes with how to access, how to use it. You know, a number of kids know how to access videos on YouTube, but they don't know how to, you know, they aren't creating YouTube videos, they aren't uploading YouTube videos, so there is instruction that goes in the creation. Most of our students are great consumers of technology, but they're not great producers, and we really want them to be producers as teachers. We want them to produce and create, and so those are the skills that we teach. You know, students know how to access a Google Doc, they know how to read a Google Doc, they might know how to share it, but how to, you know, really create some complex things there, that does require some instruction. So a similar vein as what was spoken, you know, we try and teach that digital citizenship, help them to realize the impact that social media can have. At the high school level, we do use social media. I mean, I have Facebook that I access, with my students. Kind of a thing that's interesting is we used to be a one-to-one iPad at the high school. We've actually, when we started that, it was the primary device for our students. You know, they didn't really have a smart device that they all had, and so it was a primary device for them. Now, about 3 or 4 years later, it's a secondary or a tertiary device for them. They've got something else, and so we're switching our iPads down to the K2 level instead of at the high school level, and we're bringing in Chromebooks, which is more of a creation device for them rather than an access device. And so that's a transition that we've done because our students already have that access device, which is their smartphone, and they'd much rather, use that than a school-issued device. And so that's kind of a transition that's happened in the last few years where most of our students didn't have that access 3 or 4 years ago, and now most of them do. And so that's a change that we've had to make, that we're trying to get our students, again, to be those consumers rather than producers. They need to be producers of that tech rather than just consuming it all of the time. And I think that's an important transition that every school, every teacher goes through is, your initial access to technology is how do I give them how do I let them access it? How do I let them be a consumer of it in more places? And then eventually you begin to transition to how do I help them to become creators and producers of something that someone else is accessing. And so that's an important transition that comes after a couple years of access and a couple years of use. And so that's kind of where we're starting to get to at the high school level, is how do we give the students the tools to become producers and rather than just those consumers.
Thank you. I like that. Don, I'm going to go to you and kind of ask the same. If you'll kind of keep touching on that question, what have you seen from elementary and middle school kids as far as creation versus production or versus consumption?
Same as what London said. At home, it is more of a consumer, and we are trying to help them become producers. Our district likes the iPads. I wish we were going with Chromebooks. Not happening right now. We do have laptops and desktops at all levels. I haven't learned to do the video production very much either. That's one of the goals of the summer. I want to start doing that. We're more of the on iPads, a lot of them use Powtoons and Telegami, and those explain everything, which are good. And then we've been doing Google Apps for Education for 3 or 4 years, so a lot of the projects are Google Slides and things like that.
Very good, very good. Now, London, I know you have to go here soon, so I'm going to ask you this question. If you could give 1 or 2 pieces of advice to teachers who are either beginning or kind of emerging with technology use in their classroom, what might you say to them?
I think, first off, I think it's great that you're taking some of your summertime to come and to expose yourselves to the technology. I think that's a great thing. Kind of a perspective that I've gained of taking lots and lots of teachers. So, as an example, we've been a Google Apps district for 7 or 8 years. I'm not sure, we're not even sure when that started. It's been a while. But because of that, I've taken teachers to a lot of trainings and provided a lot of professional development and tried to rebuild our local expertise in that, so there's always someone next door who can help you. And I think you know the people in your building who you might be able to go to ask a question about something related to technology. You know who they are, you know who that person is. So my primary recommendation is use this type of tech training, this type of tech experience as it's difficult in a day to learn how to do everything. In fact, it's likely impossible to learn how to do it all in one day. But you see cool things, you experience some things that intrigue you, and I tell my teachers all the time that I take you to this conference, I take you to this thing to help you build up the courage to try something new. And so that's kind of the thing, is find something that you're willing to try, find something that you're willing to do, and figure out who that person is that can help you do that. And once you try that one thing, then you'll start to expand on that. So that's my recommendation, is look for one thing or a couple small things that you're willing to say, you know what, I'm going to try that, and spend your time on those. It's difficult sometimes. We see so much that we can do with technology that it becomes overwhelming to say, that's way beyond what I can do. But build up the courage through these experiences to pick something that you can try and that you're willing to work on it and do. And that's what leads, regardless of where you are along that continuum of tech integration, there's always something that the next step. And so as long as you adopt that mentality of looking for what's the next thing to attempt and to try, and you're willing to do that, you'll continue to grow and continue to learn.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time today. I know you've got to take off and get your son over to school. So
all right, thank you
for your time, and certainly you guys out there look him up. It's London Jinks. He's in Hot Springs County, up in Thermopolis, and has some good things for it. Thank you so much again.
Thanks. I'll see you.
Okay. Now, Don, I'll ask you kind of the same question. If you could give a couple of pieces of advice to teachers about technology, what would you say?
The first thing is, don't be afraid to try. It doesn't always work, but you learn from your mistakes. And I tell teachers a lot of times, unless you throw the computer out the window, you're probably not going to break it. And so, you know, like I liked what London said, try one thing. And then when you get good at that, try something new. And if you don't know how to do something, ask someone who does, or use YouTube as a consumer. Go look up, you know, how to do things. Everything's on there. And if I don't know how to do something, I either Google it or look it up on YouTube and learn how to do it. I do a lot of learning on my own. Also, if you get a chance to go to any Ed Camps or the Google Apps for Education Summit, I just went to the one in Cody. It was awesome. And that's my advice.
Well, because I know there's plenty of options out there. There's plenty of resources to use to go out and talk to people and ask people about, you know, how they do things. A lot of what we're trying to do here at the Ed Camp is get people set up with a PLN or personal learning network on, whether it be on Google Plus or Twitter or any of those avenues where they can get in touch with people who, you know, you can ask questions to and bounce ideas off each other, and, you know, this is what I'm trying, you should try this out too, and that sort of thing. So.
And I found Twitter to be a great tool. I resisted it because, like, I don't need one more thing. But it's been a great PLN. I really like the Sunday night YO Ed chats.
Yes.
Besides being educational, they're motivational. You get on there and hear other people's great ideas, and it just makes you want to go to work Monday and try something new.
Yeah. In fact, we'll put in a plug for that right now. It's if you're on Twitter, if you're not, you know, get on there and try. We can help you get that set up. But every Sunday night at 8 o'clock, I think they're taking July off, but
right.
Throughout most of the school year and even a little bit into the summer, is Sunday night from 8 to 9 at the hashtag #YOEdChat. And they have different moderators come in, they ask questions, and before you know it, you're, you know, bouncing ideas off each other and sharing resources with people and links and all kinds of. It's a wonderful hour to spend to get you ready for school on Monday morning. So to wrap up here this morning, Don, I'm going to finish up with you, and just any final words that you might have for our participants here, and maybe even how they can get in touch with you later on if they have some more questions for you.
Okay. Probably easiest way would be through Twitter, and my handle is Dawn63Dale, and I would be happy to answer any questions. I have my blog that people are welcome to go and look at, and that's mrsdaletech.blogspot.com. And I just say jump in there and try it. And, you know, the kids are a great resource. They know how to do a lot of the things, and it makes them feel good when they can teach you. And if you can show that you don't know everything, I think that they like to see that you're willing to learn too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, it's certainly if you show a kid a program or something and say, go play with it, and then show me what it does, because that's what they will do, because they're certainly afraid to jump in there and try it. So,
right.
So, well, I thank you, Don, so much for taking some time out of your summer, a half an hour or so, to spend time with us and let us know how you do things, and, you know, certainly was very impressive to hear. Maybe we can do this again next fall or sometime. We'll kind of get this. I think this Hangout thing is a wonderful resource that highly underutilized in the education setting. I know that for sure.
Right. Well, I have to use it with my home account because it's blocked even for teachers in our district.
How ironic.
I know. And I think it's great you guys are doing the Ed Camp model at your schools. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so good luck.
First time we've done it district-wide, and we had a lot of interest, and hopefully it's something that continues on for years to come.
All right.
Thank you so much, Don. Appreciate your time, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.